All right, we're here, the Grumpy Dungeon Masters, doing this thing, making a podcast.
Yeah, I'm
Listen,
also here.
listening to Craig say, "Now recording."
Yeah, recording.
S-
I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher. That's
Uh,
Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay.
hello.
Gary Con was this weekend.
It is
PAX
this,
East,
or yeah, I guess it's over, isn't it?
it's over. But PAX East was this weekend. A lot of good news from the D&D world to kick off everything.
Oh, okay.
First and foremost, have you seen the WizKids 50th anniversary Golden Dragon miniature that they're releasing?
Didn't we talk about it last week?
I don't know.
I don't remember. We talked about it. It might have been a few weeks ago, a
We
couple of
talked
weeks
about
back.
Bahamut, but this is where it's the golden dragon that looks like the D&D ampersand.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm looking at it right now. I've seen it.
Yeah,
We've definitely mentioned it on here, but I don't remember how long ago.
they were selling it at GaryCon.
All right. How much were they wanting?
I don't know.
Oh, I figured you'd already pre-ordered it.
No, I can pre-order the platinum Bahamut for 250, but I ain't got that kind of money right now.
Yeah.
But they talked about a lot of upcoming stuff. Most particularly, they talked about Vecna in the Eve of Ruin.
Oh,
Um,
in the Eye of Ruin.
yeah, the Eye of Ruin. Yeah, Eve of Ruin. Um, and they kind of showed off some artwork for it. I linked up in our podcast chat on our Discord. Um, Pretty much everything that they kind of talked about. And one thing that's new that I didn't know about is that there's actually going to be like a prequel adventure for third party characters that basically sets up the book. Okay. And that comes out on April 21st. And if you pre-order the bundle on D&D Beyond, you get it for free. So that's pretty good
You get a prequel for the
for
Eve
the module. Yeah.
Eve of Ruin. Okay.
hmm So that's interesting. I like that they're doing that. I don't know if those characters carry over or anything, but you start off that adventure at like what 10 or so. So um, I'm really looking forward to that the real final adventure. For fifth edition. I kind of like that Vecna is the linchpin and everything, and how like they had this obelisk all around. He's somewhat connected to them.
Yeah.
Um, they also talked about the journey from the Infinite Staircase. They kind of went over what was going to be in that book. Looks like it's going to be 6 adventures from first level all the way up to 13th level. So
Got
those
it.
those would be okay. That
The
releases
the
in July.
the only things that I'm seeing on this thing that I actually wasn't going to talk about them anyway, and I'm not going to participate in them because it's going to be expensive, but that are actually cool is the D&D themed Converse sneakers, the Chucks, and the Lego group releasing the Dungeons and Red Dragon's Tail set, and I don't even care about that because it's Legos, but it comes with a free adventure
Yeah,
that you can use the Legos as the minis for.
that's going to be cute. I mean
I
that's
love it.
definitely a way of
Yeah,
combining the products.
yeah. I love that. I don't, obviously I'm not a Lego person, but I would love to get access. I'd love to get a hold of that adventure just to read through it.
Yeah, it seems like 2024 is just it feels the past almost year has just felt dead in the water. You
I,
know.
it has if you only play D&D, yes. Um,
So
for me, it's been fucking great. I've already kickstarted a few things this year. I've bought a whole bunch of different tabletop games this year.
I still haven't gotten the Kickstarters that I kickstarted back in 2022.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing anything like unless I can buy the physical book right now. I'm hesitant to ever buy anything again off a Kickstarter.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
really
I've done so many Kickstarters over the years, and literally only once ever have I not gotten what I kickstarted, and that was because the manufacturing company fucked the other company over.
well. I mean, for me, it's less that I'm not gonna. It's not that I'm not gonna get it. I feel like I will get the products eventually, but my hype for the products is gone. I have
Oh my,
no desire to play Skyriders of Abraxia anymore. I had no desire to play through Ouroboros when I got it. I really just like the
you
delay between the start and the end is just way too much.
Yeah, you're the very opposite of me when it comes to stuff like that. Like I get hyped when the Kickstarter's kind of going on. That's why I back them. And then I forget all about it. And then it shows up at my door and I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah." And I get hyped all over again.
Yeah, that
So,
doesn't happen. I like movies and stuff. Like I can't watch a movie again and feel like the same hype that I had for it the second time. Because I remember pretty much everything.
I
You
mean,
know,
I saw the new Dune movie twice and I liked it better the second time around. So,
I mean,
I'm
there
I'm
are sometimes some films that are like that, but they have to be made that way. You know, that have layers.
Yeah,
But
I can watch a number of movies multiple times and still enjoy it. Now, after I've seen it, 100 times or a dozen times or whatever, I'm probably done with it. But
I just have a finite amount of attention that I can give something and hype that I can give something before it's like, oh, the Sky Raiders of Rexa. That's still a really cool setting. It feels very Final Fantasy to me, and I can run like a Final Fantasy game with it. I still want the book, and I still will enjoy the product when I get it. But it's been 2 years. I'll get it. It's gonna sit on my shelf, and nothing's gonna happen with it for a while.
yeah,
Not until
truthfully,
I get back around to where it needs to be. And it's not against them. It was the same thing with Ouroboros. It's the same thing with
yeah.
that one my wife backed. Same thing with the Miyazaki one that I backed, or the kind of Miyazaki one that I backed.
So
I
you're the
mean,
kind of person who really shouldn't back any of these things because you get interested in it, and then once you got it, it's like, okay, that's cool. It can sit on the shelf.
well, I mean, there were a couple things that I backed that were RPGs that I got pretty quickly, and I like those. Like whether it's I get the PDF immediately and I can start doing stuff with it,
Hmm.
that's a little different. But
Well,
like
you've got the PDFs for Sky Raiders.
it came out a couple months ago and it was already out by that time.
That's fair.
And I don't want to go through and look at, oh, we haven't done any corrections on this stuff yet because I don't want to tear it apart like we did Ouroboros. Because
Yeah,
that it was fun to do that. It was fun to nitpick and see like the creative process from like where they were and how and what they ended up with. But at the same time, it was like I'm just
it's the playing the video game when it's in beta or whatever. That's never quite finished. So you've got
oh
all these
7 days
bugs and shit.
cough cough
Right, yeah, exactly. That 7 Days to Die, which has been in beta for 22 years or whatever.
alpha.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's still an alpha, and it's been there for over a decade, yet we still keep playing the shit out of it.
Yeah, but they're just running with it at this point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's part of the charm of that game, at least, is the fact that it's been in alpha for 10 years.
So I don't know. Like, I'm hype about the Vecna thing. I'm really looking forward to that. I want to run it at Adventures League. I think it'll be. I'm gonna hype the shit out of it as best I can. I like that they're doing the tournament in April, um, and I really like the fact that they are bringing in other RPG creators to put their stuff on D&D Beyond and add that stuff to the pool of stuff. And like, there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and it's happening. Does it make up for the clusterfuck that was 2023 and the OGL incident? Maybe it. I don't know, but did you see that Cobalt Press has their Tome of Beasts now on D&D Beyond?
Nope.
So
Of
you
course.
know who Cobalt Press is, right?
Yeah, they make the Tome of Beasts. They're another publishing company that makes D&D 5e material, basically.
Okay.
Of course,
So
yes, I know who they are. Yes.
yeah, so basically they put the Tome of Beasts one up there, and it's just great. Everything is integrated and everything like that into the D&D Beyond interface, and yeah, the book came out a long time ago, but it's great that it's there. The third one came out recently, I
I
think.
mean, I mean the fact that it's been out a long time, but I guess for the people who use D&D Beyond, Actually, if you use D&D Beyond, that's fantastic because you know all of my complaints about D&D in general is there's just not enough stuff.
Yeah,
So the, the fact that they're actually allowing third party stuff on there finally, which should have happened years ago. I mean, that's exactly what that product needs.
yeah, and I think, I mean, this didn't come about, willy nilly, but it definitely did. Probably was in the works for a while. It takes a while
Oh
to
yeah, of
sync
course, yeah.
everything up, but I'm glad that it's there. Um, and there's ways to, like, filter it out if you don't want to see it and stuff like that. But um, they're also putting in some of the maps that came with Toma Beast into the D&D Beyond map tool, which is still kind of the worst tool ever. they
See,
they had a better map tool when they were doing fourth edition than they have right now as a map tool.
yeah, that sucks. Uh,
Yeah, I
sorry,
mean,
I'm still looking at the news. I see the Taldore Reborn apparently is on D&D Beyond now as well.
yep,
Uh, which Taldore, that's the whole Critical Role thing, but they've got their own game coming out here soon, which I would assume is going to be the new Critical Role stuff.
yeah, that's what they're moving to. But I mean,
I mean, good for them. I guess they're still making money off of this shit. So the Critical Role people are getting paid, and they don't really have to do anything there. So
yeah. For the Lego adventure thing, did you see that it was Symmetra that was the DM?
no, I haven't actually seen it. I saw somebody reviewing the Legos. Like opened it up, reviewed the Legos after they're put together, and they just mentioned to me that mentioned there was an adventure in it. So
Well, they're actually playing through the adventure, where the voice actress that plays Symmetra from Overwatch is
yeah,
the DM.
I love
Uh,
her. She's awesome.
yeah, and it's going to be live on YouTube on April 6th, so a couple weeks.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, if you watched Miss Marvel on the Disney show, she played one of the aunties. That's
Uh,
Let's see what else. The Dungeons of Drakenheim. I'm just sort of looking at the news that you had posted because I didn't
yeah.
see it. Okay, so this is a adventure by
Mhm.
Ghostfire Gaming.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's been coming. Both the layers of Atharis and the Dungeons of Dragonheim have been posted and are coming soon this year.
okay,
So there's more adventures, more monsters, and stuff like that. In fact, I think the Dungeons of Dragonheim is actually out because I
okay.
can actually access it. Oh, and so's the Grim Hollow one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and these are on D&D Beyond. So
Hmm.
yeah, okay. So we knew they were going to open it up to third party stuff, and now it looks like that stuff's finally hitting.
Wand of Silence has 7 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to spend 1 charge to cast a silence spell. Has 1d6 plus 1 expended charges daily at dawn. Uh, use the
They
last charge and it blows up.
I'm sorry, I'm still scrolling through this stuff. I don't know who Rain Spooner is. I'm guessing it's a company, a clothing company, but they are releasing Dungeons and Dragons 50th anniversary Aloha shirts. I have to contact. Actually, I got a message my friend Drew like right now because he actually wears like Hawaiian shirts.
Why?
So I don't know. Some people love them, man. It's just a fucking thing. So now he can spend some of his hard-earned money on buying a D&D Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of D&D Hawaiian shirts from a third-party company that I think stole my credit card number. But I did eventually get the shirts, so I guess that was an even trade.
Oh, okay. Well, they apparently they have pullovers as well. So that's a thing. They're very fucking expensive though. Let's see. Yeah, you're looking at $120 for a shirt.
Um,
That seems a little high.
I mean, honestly, no, nope. That's right in the ballpark nowadays. At least for me. Maybe not for other people.
The Converse that we mentioned there are going to be 4 pair of them, and I actually heard about these before you posted it. There's one with the D&D ampersand on it. There's one with some old first edition art from like the D&D. It's not from the cartoon, but very similar, like that time period. Then there's one that says, "What is that? The dice taketh away." I like that one. The dice taketh away, and it's got a skeletal hand on it. And then there's another one that's just some D&D art, but they're Chucks, and you know me, I like Chucks. I like wearing all sorts of canvas shoes and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh, and they're like they vary from 80 to $110, which is pricey, but that I've paid that much for shoes before, so
yeah. They also talked about that they had the Asarex treasure, which are basically blind bag dice, but I've mentioned before on the podcast.
yeah.
Um, my LGS got a restock of them in, and people started buying them once I mentioned like exactly what they were. One of the people there bought a bag and got the legendary Cloak and Dagger Black Dice set, which is kind of like this really cool. Um, Kind of looks like a shadowy green emerald. All right,
Mhm.
you can't see the number on it. There's no numbers at all. So the bag also came with an additional black light that you'd have to shine on the dice to see what the number was. And while they thought that was absolutely the coolest thing ever,
It would
that
never get rolled. Nobody would ever fucking use that.
it's gonna be the most annoying thing to do. Is like, okay, what did I roll? Light. But I actually have a set just like that are kind of clear, and then I have a set of glow in the dark dice as well. And I keep them together because it came with. There's the thing that the bag came with was like a very small keychain.
Mhm.
But when I bought the black light dice, it had this big long, nice laser pointer black light thing that worked pretty well. Um, but some other dice that are in that new set, they expanded it. That they added some like very unique woods, like a redwood and a green and redwood set called the Tiamat set.
And
Um,
are we still talking about the Acer X treasure packs?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at these now. I actually really kind of like that, but it's not the dice that I'm interested in. So just reading it, there's 54 possible dice sets available, but it also could be 18 different coins and 5 different color of dice bag. So one,
yeah,
I love dice bag, but the coins aren't just coins.
right,
I'm staring at them. One of them says Bardic Inspiration D12. One of them is Channel Divinity. There's an Action Surge, Wild Shape, Superiority Die D8. So they're actually usable products
yeah.
for
The
for
only
D and
two,
D.
the only two that really work, you know, I guess it's nice to have something on the table to remind you that hey, I have bardic inspirations that I can use. My
Yes.
wife was forgetting to use hers, so it helps from that perspective. For me, it wouldn't help because I remember that stuff, but what
Yeah.
I do forget is inspiration. Okay,
Yep.
there is an inspiration coin in there, and they're about 2 inches around. You get one coin per bag. Okay,
Yeah, these are like 50-cent piece or dollar pieces. These are fairly large
yeah,
tokens.
a little bigger than a 50-cent piece, and they're quite hefty too. So every Aspect Treasure blind bag comes with a dice, comes with a bag, comes with a single coin. Um, so they're definitely worth $20. Even the common sets that are in there aren't bad. You know,
I
they're
mean, I've paid way more than 20 bucks just for a set of dice before.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Um,
yeah, plus you're getting a dice bag and you're getting a coin. So, it's not a terrible deal.
no, it definitely isn't. It's definitely worth it. They sell out really fast. But there's probably only one legendary per box. And since I saw the legendary get pulled, I doubt there's going to be no legendary in there.
Mm.
I
So you're gonna wait till that next box gets cracked open.
might just buy a box.
Yeah. At 20 bucks a piece, I wouldn't buy more than one or two of these. But it is a thing of where I would I don't know. I don't necessarily love the idea of just getting it random, but I definitely would consider if I could buy the coins as a group.
Yeah,
If I just want to buy all the Bard coins or all the Druid coins or something specific, or hell, just buy pay $50 and get a shit ton of all of them. Something like that
yeah.
would be pretty awesome.
Uh, there is one super rare coin. That's the Sphere of Annihilation.
Yeah, that one better
Like,
be.
like what? How's that going to help the player?
No, no, that's for the DM to lay it out on the table.
You've been effed.
Yeah, when you're tired of your other player, when you're tired of your players' bullshit, you just flip that bad boy out there on the table and let them, you know, get a little scared at that point. Here's your sphere of annihilation, fuckers.
I
I hope.
definitely do enjoy that product. It was a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, they got a lot of good products. They're definitely trying their best to bring everything back in. Um, Beetle and Grimm's coming out with a platinum edition of Eve of Ruin,
Oh, that's
which
cool. I do like
which
Beetle and Grimm.
yeah, which I really kind of want that because it comes with all the maps and stuff. Where I probably won't be able to get those otherwise.
Yeah.
And just looking at like the screenshots that they're kind of giving us of what's happening, it's just like there's a lot of weird shit in there.
So just taking a look at the WizKids link that was in that article, we've already talked, I think, about the 50th anniversary Red Dragon before, and the minis. Me and Mike talked about the minis when you were on vacation.
Hmm.
Uh, but apparently, they have a whole bunch of keychains as well that are plushy, like looks like different colored dragons. Um,
Yeah,
then there is a plush version of the OG D&D statue, the one from the first edition book with the eye stolen.
yeah,
With I like that. And then there is a 7-inch action figure of Strongheart, who is from that's first edition D&D stuff. And then there's the 7-inch resin beholder that looks like it's made of gold.
yeah. Look, it looks like one of those Japanese kutsugargi, whatever that word is, where like the pottery gets broken and they use gold to, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
shape
yeah,
the pottery back. I really want that because I have a shelf behind me that's just beholders. So
yeah. No,
I,
that
I
would be
really, I
that's
really need to
pretty
get
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't really buy statues and stuff but for somebody yourself, being a prime example, you actually have a shelf of beholders. So that is something perfect for that.
The shelf of beholders.
Little does anyone know that they're actually real beholders who are guarding your room.
The beholder statue is actually a mimic.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I could see it. We've definitely seen outhouse mimics.
Yeah. One question I do have, one of the images of for the Vecna Eve of Ruin
Hmm.
is they have Vecna standing in the moonlight with all of his bad guys behind him, and
Yep.
his one eye is glowing and his one hand is glowing. Okay. Why?
Because they are the magic ones. Those are the artifact ones.
Right. So they got taken from Vecna, and part of his power was in those items. And people could use those items because they were so evil and full of power that they could, use his part of his power. But once he completed himself, he's the magic source, not his eye and hand.
Maybe. Like who knows? Maybe they explain it in the adventure. Uh, yeah, Vecta's an old ass enemy, so I don't want to go say what is in the storyline and what isn't because I don't know the entire storyline of Vecta. Vecna's he was from first edition Dungeons and Dragons. I know pretty sure his eye and hand of Vecna were artifacts in first edition.
Right, because they were taken from him.
Yeah. Maybe he turned them into artifacts back then, attached them to himself, and then when he was defeated, it was taken from him. So that would be my assumption, but I could be completely fucking wrong. I will say, at least in that piece of art that we're looking at, every one of the minions behind him, or at least the ones up front, all have a single glowing red eye on the same
Yeah.
side. which is
Mm.
that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, it's but that's a revenant. No, it's blue eye, isn't it? One blue eye is a revenant.
Ah, maybe. I don't know. I just assume those are all liches standing behind him. Kind of looks like it. Just scrolling through the art to see if there was anything else that really kind of stood out to me. But uh,
There's a couple things, but it's just nice art. A lot of
yeah,
undead and monstrosities, you know.
yeah. There's one piece farther down that kind of looks like Tony DiTerlizzi, but it's not. It's got the name Greg Staples on there, who I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Eve of Ruin. I know you're hyped for it, obviously, because more modules and it's Vecna and it's higher level. I know we've talked about it a little on here. I enjoy the fact that they're finally releasing a high level module. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
Obviously I'm never going to get any use out of it, but
Yeah, my understanding. So I was kind of looking it up. So basically, Vecna was betrayed by his lieutenant, who basically gouged out his eye and cut off his hand, and then he destroyed Vecna. Okay, so all that remained of him was his eye and hand, and they were just such an evil thing that they became artifacts from that. It's not that his eye and hand are in and of themselves artifacts of power. Other people just could use that as an artifact of power. But to Vecna, he's still just Vecna,
yeah.
you know?
Uh, well, I mean, you're talking about a piece of art here, so maybe they just did it for flair, or maybe at this point that's where his soul lives. It might be his soul bottle.
No, his soul bottle is supposed to be um, super hidden, like in black holes or some shit, someplace,
Mm,
unreachable.
yeah, yeah.
Um, like even Acerax is on a different plane of existence that exists only to hold his phylactery. So, I mean, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, in third edition, there was a prestige class you could take where you actually could create your own pocket dimension. So, like you could, it started out like just big enough for you to stand in it, like it was 6 by 6 or whatever. And then every level or whatever it would grow, and every year it would grow. So, after a while, if you manage to live for 1,000 years, you have a pretty decent sized pocket dimension.
Yeah, Vecna's been around since 1976.
Yeah, which I think is the
So,
second
sorry,
second
the
year.
Eye of Vecna has been around since 1976. So
Yeah,
Vecna was already dead and gone by that time, but still existing.
yeah. I'm guessing. I don't know who created Vecna. It was probably Gygax, but it could have been Arneson or somebody else.
Brian
Interesting.
Bloom.
Might have been one of Gary's other people.
His first appearance was in Eldritch Wizardry, which is in 1976, created by Brian Bloom.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now we need to do some more research on who is Brian Bloom and what's his connection to D&D.
Brian Bloom was an American game designer and writer, principally known as the former business partner of Gary Gygax at TSR's. Uh, and he was born in January 1950, died March 2020. Yeah,
Well, all right.
yeah. I'm not going to get into
Yeah, yeah.
the further thing,
Eh, If
but
somebody if
yeah,
somebody really wants to know,
he's part of the drama. It's on Wikipedia. You go read through it.
yeah, I was gonna say if more people want to know anything about the guy, you can always look it up. I'm sure I will later because I am a history buff about this kind of stuff. I'm really interested in it. I'll
Speaking
forget.
of
I'll read it and then I'll forget most of it. But
speaking of being history buffs, they did go through the only book that I'm really looking forward to next year, other than the Eye of Vecna. It's the making of the original Dungeons and Dragon like
yeah,
biography book.
I want to see it to see how. I don't know. I'm being a naysayer here. I want to see it to see how poorly it's done.
Well, they do have images. If you keep scrolling down, they do have images
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
book, what's in there, the table of contents. Um, they kind of go through. It's divided up into four parts. Um, Part one's called Precursors. Part two is the 1973 draft of Dungeons and Dragons. Part three is the original Dungeons and Dragons, and part four is the articles and editions. So
Yep.
essentially, it's a history of just first edition. They talk about everything that was happening with chainmail, essentially, and how that was kind of being made. They talk about Greyhawk and the Great Kingdom, the first draft, things that they were working on to kind of make it better and more flavorful, and then how they expanded the rules to the first publication version. They talk about the brown box and the white box, and then they talk about pretty much all the extra books that came out, like Blackmore, Eldritch Wizardry, Gods, Demigods, and Heroes, blah blah blah, Greyhawk. So they talk about a lot of stuff in that book, and I'm very interested in reading it.
Yep.
There's a lot of scanned images. It looks like from like old notebooks,
That's cool.
uh, like just like actual sheets of paper, and here's all the notes that they took and how they wrote it, and the original sketch drawings of bugbears, ghouls, and stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
it looks great. It looks exactly what I wanted from the other book that I bought that wasn't involved with that at all.
Yeah. Once it comes out, I mean, I see articles in addition. There's a section for Greyhawk that looks like it might be hell, might be 60 pages, 50 or 60 pages, if that table of contents is correct.
Yeah.
And then there's a section for Blackmore. So those two things alone, if there's a lot of info on it, that's enough to get me to want to buy that book.
Yeah,
Because
this is a good book for the 50th anniversary.
yeah, yeah, if it is exactly what it looks like on that table of contents, I'm down. Like it looks cool. It looks like it's 575 pages, which
Yep,
that's a hell of a big book for D&D.
I know, right? In the world of cutting back,
Yeah,
you
I,
got
I would I would imagine it's going to be over $100, but
yeah, probably.
yeah, probably 150 or something. But I don't know. I might would consider paying that.
And the last thing in the article that they showed off the artwork for the wizard. Now, Mister Grumpy Ass Pants, what do you think?
The artwork for the wizard. Where are you at?
Very bottom of the article.
The very I would say, hey, that's a Magic the Gathering card.
Well, I mean, same department, but yeah,
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It does literal nothing for me.
it does something for me. It makes me feel very happy to see proper representation in an art piece.
Of having a wizard in an art piece.
No, not a wizard in an art piece. The fact that not even the fact that it's a lady in the art piece, not even the fact that it's a lady of color in a black piece. The fact that this is a hero, a heroine in this fantasy world, and she's wearing glasses. You
Ah,
never see heroes wearing glasses.
that is
She's
true.
wearing glasses, and it made
Yeah.
me so happy. I don't know why.
That's you're not wrong. Yeah, people like me, man, we die early. We can't see what's coming, or like Velma. Oh, my glasses.
So I was looking at this piece like, oh, I really like this art. I like the art. I have no problems with it. You're just an old curmudgeon.
I
And I was
it's
like,
I just
wait a second, she's got
it's the art.
glasses.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
It's fine. It looks like a cool CG piece of art. Now the art
Unless you're
that's di-
using charcoal on a rock wall, I don't like it. It's not real art.
the art that is directly above it on the D&D article, that's my jam.
The first edition black pen on scratch notebook paper.
Yeah, the third one on the right, like the third one or the farthest right. That one is like, okay, yeah, I get that. That's cool. Yeah. Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
It
the
look
the
it look
the,
it
the,
look
the
it
middle
looks
two
like
the middle two kind of look like doodles, but
that's the official artwork, man, of the Mind Flayer and Roper. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, well, it kind of looks like doodles. They didn't have real professional artists doing it in the beginning. The one off to the right could kind of looks like Arrow Lotus art.
Maybe.
I don't know if it is, but it definitely has the Errol Otis feel to it at least. Maybe because that's going to be in the making of the original Dungeons and Dragons book, so I'm sure I can figure it out at that point once it comes out.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about chainmail, very briefly, I was hanging out with my friend Mike the other day, and we were actually flipping through his copy of Chainmail. I think we're gonna bust it out and play it at some point.
And
It,
that'd be interesting because it is very. Are you going to play Chainmail or are you going to play the fantasy addition to Chainmail?
he owns Chainmail. It's the third edition of Chainmail. So it's not like the very first version of it. Dungeons and Dragons was already out when his was printed, but
Okay,
yeah,
so it's going to be the non-fantasy version of Chainmail.
maybe. But yeah, we were flipping. I mean, there's a dragon in there. There's liches in there. So there's
Yeah.
definitely fantasy aspects to it that you can use.
So there's there's the wargaming Chainmail, and then there's like the hero version of Chainmail, the
Yeah,
fantasy Chainmail. So
yeah,
it's not about the setting. It's basically if you're controlling a single individual in your battle, then that's the fantasy Chainmail, which led to Dungeons and Dragons. If you're playing with armies and groups of combatants against other armies and groups of combatants, that's the original miniature wargame Chainmail.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. We'll have to. We haven't read through the whole thing and figured it out yet. At some point, probably reasonably soon, we'll do that, and
Yeah,
we'll
like
figure out how to make it
I
work.
want to do some wargaming, but at the same time, it's like A, I don't want to buy, assemble, and paint miniatures. B, I don't want to need another obsession. I've already spending all my money on D and D and Magic and freaking Ghostbusters crap right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. When
so
because Dan's brother Jonathan posted that picture of him at Gary Con, with the table, with the building, the miniatures building, and all the minis sitting out on the table. And my first thought was, are they playing Warhammer at Gary Con? And then you look closely and you can see the chainmail books on the table. I was like, "Oh, that makes way more sense."
I mean, yeah. So it's going to be a good year overall, I think, and a lot of fun stuff is happening.
Oh, yeah.
I really we're looking
Y
forward. I'm actually looking forward to this game that they're doing with the Lego thing. I'm gonna kind of watch that and see how that goes.
yeah, is it I'm guessing it's on D&D
It's
stream
gonna
or
be
something?
on YouTube and Twitch when it comes out. I had just noticed too that in that picture they have of everyone sitting around the table,
Mhm.
they have a Lego Red Dragon DM screen.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
that'd be a
something.
cool product to get a hold of.
That must be expensive.
Probably terribly expensive.
I mean, Legos are worth more by ounce, worth more per ounce than gold. So
Oh, okay. I now see the picture you're talking about because I was still looking at the news thing. I recognize Jenny D, the actress for Symmetra. The dude just to her left, I recognize, but I don't know his name. And then there's the other two guys that I have no idea who the fuck they are. Actually, the one on the right, I think that's Bob the World Builder.
Louise Carzaro, Lucas Bolt, and Jordan Scott.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
Yeah,
He looks like Bob the World Builder, who has a great YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out.
I have not.
Well, he's a buddy of the Professor Dungeon Master, and all those guys.
I want to be there, buddy.
I know, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Talk D&D all damn day. Like we kind of already tend to do a lot of the time.
So
Uh, Go
so
ahead.
I have a story that happened about or that happened this week in Avengers League,
Okay.
and um, what was funny about it is I was going through my old paper maps and I found a map. I was like, oh, this will work, and I plopped it down on the table. It's like this will lead. We'll start here, and this will lead to the cave. That'll have the really big encounter, and everything will be awesome. So the map itself, if you can envision it, is like a jungle setting with a destroyed shrine and like toppled over pillars of stone everywhere. And in the shrine, there is an altar just surrounded in dried blood. and outside of the temple, just close by, but just outside of the temple, there's a running well. Now, they're in the Feywild to kind of set the scene. So I popped the map down and said, you guys spawn here. Everything is you see what you see. Let me know what you think and where you want to go. And see. And so they start kind of exploring the area. And I keep telling them that the shadows are moving here and there. And things are kind of like, kind of jumpy and scary. And it's even for the eternal twilight that is the Feywild. It still seems pretty dark everywhere they go. So they're investigating and they're just flubbing all their checks to find shit. And, they're seeing like shadows move and stuff like that. So people start firing magic missiles at bushes and shit,
I
trying to
magic
hit them.
missile the darkness.
Yeah, pretty much. And one guy sat down and he's like, okay, I'm going to cast Detect Magic. I was like, all right, you can do it as a spell slot or a ritual. He's a newer player, so I had to explain the difference between the two. And so he's spending 10 minutes to cast it. I let that happen. I tell him that the altar is covered in blood. It gives off a necromantic aura. And the well is giving off a divine aura. Okay. None of this is planned out for me ahead of time. I'm just making it up as I go along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he walks over to the well and goes, okay, I dipped my hammer in it. Nothing happens. All right, I drink the water.
Oh no.
Nothing happens. So another player is like, all right, I splash him with the water. The guy that just dipped his hammer and drank. So I had to make a charisma saving throw. And he failed miserably. And I said that once you get splashed with the water, you begin to glow with this divine aura. And you are compelled to walk over and lie down on the altar. So he does that. He walks over and lies down at the altar. And by the altar, the necromancer, not a necromancer of the group, is standing there, looking it over, trying to figure it out. But he is failing all of his Arcana checks, all of his history checks.
You gotta stab a motherfucker.
And so when the player lies down in front of him, he goes, "All right, I'm going to kill him."
Yeah, you stab him.
So what was really out of play was the argument between the two. He's like, wait a second. Why are you going to stab me? And it was just the utter chaos that erupted from that shit was the funniest shit I've ever been a part of in at least the past 2 years. I was just laughing and laughing as they're like, "What? We got to kill you to find out what happens."
Yeah.
And then the other two people in the group are like, yeah, but we can bottle the water and take it with us and use it on monsters and stuff and then sacrifice them. And they're making all this plans with the water while the paladin, who should be compelled to lay there and not move nor speak. Well, I didn't tell him he couldn't speak, but he's trying to convince the necromancer guy not to murder him.
Yeah, it's the same thing we do at LARP. If we have a circle or something that we don't know what it is, we go grab somebody and throw them in it to see what happens.
There's nobody to grab. It's always me. I don't know why.
Well, we used to grab other people. Now we're just lazy and don't want to walk to find somebody else.
So that whole thing goes through. The monsters show up. They're splashing the monsters with the water, and they realize that they can only do it one at a time. They can't mind control all of them.
Yeah.
Eventually, one of the monsters lays down on the altar, and a player runs over there and sacrifices it. And I had to look up real quick a Fey Lord that I could use. And the first one that I found was called the Carrion King, who is like a massive mushroom.
You told me about this the other day, and my brain is still not accepting it. That's not a Fey Lord.
He's like the myconoid deity in the Fey world. He's basically this giant amalgam of just different types of fungus, all grouped together with 1,000 mouths and 1,000 faces. And
that's a Chaos Lord. That's not a Fey Lord.
He's neutral at best. So, anyways, the player asks for a boon. He says, "I don't want you to harm anyone ever again." And I had the Carrion King define living or dead because his whole job is to basically eat decay and eat rot out of the world. Um, he doesn't care about other things really, and so he goes living people. I was like, for how long? And he's like, for as long as the oldest mushroom that you guys that is a part of you lives. And so I had the colony look down to like a little Super Mario mushroom and it goes, this was the one. This is the oldest part of ourselves. As long as he lives, we will not harm any living creatures. He's like, okay, good. And then I had the Carrion King just rip the mushroom out of the ground and destroy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, boop, he's gone. He's back in the normal world. So eventually, they get another monster sacrifice. The same guy goes back and he's talking to the Carrion King again. And he's like, I've already given you a boon. I'm not going to give you another. He's like, but I really need one this time.
Be gone,
I,
mortal.
I've come prepared. He's like, all right. Well, if you become my acolyte, I will give you another boon. So he's like, sure, I'll do that. So I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, what do you want as a boon? Now we're making this pact. And he goes, I need to cure some diseases for my friends because a lot of them had to cure curses for my friends because most of the party has been cursed in some way, shape, or form at this point in time. So he's like, granted, take this bag of mushrooms, feed them to your allies. They'll be cured of all their curses. And whenever you find a corpse, you must plant my mushrooms on them. So he leaves. He gives mushrooms to the players. They cook and eat them. Question mark, but whatever. I'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And they get rid of the curses, except for one guy who's cursed with the Fomorian curse and refuses to get rid of it because he thinks that eating weird things in the Feywild gave him the curse when he knows exactly why he got the curse.
He knows what he did.
He knows what he did. And so then I turn to the players like, all right, you gain one level of Warlock, and you're packed to the Fey Lord now. Which kind of brings me to I may have talked about this before, but I kind of want to bring it again. It's like that's how I feel Warlock should be in D&D in 5e.
Yeah.
Like you to start out as a Warlock just feels so weird. Like in Baldur's Gate 3, you have a character that starts out as a Warlock, but he became the Warlock with the pact with the demon as like a young adult. So he's been a Warlock for a while, and then lost all of his powers when the incident happened at the beginning of the game. So he's trying to get them all back,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to, like, justify why a Warlock exists.
Well,
But,
no, yeah, if you're going to play a warlock, you absolutely should.
right. And nobody likes to give that money back. But as a DM, I can give you that Warlock level whenever you need that boost in power. And I've done it in my Frosthaven,
So
Frost Maiden campaign and everything. It happened in my current Waterdeep campaign.
So do you just give them an extra level?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So where they might be level 6 while everybody else is level 5.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the boost. It's that boost that gets them through their circumstance, and now they're stuck with that certain pact with that demon.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they get a little bit extra things like a magic item or something like that. My wife, when she made the deal with the Dark Lady in the Waterdeep campaign, got a magic crossbow. Um, partly because she wasn't tracking her crossbow bolts anyways, so why not make it magical? So she needed more power to stop what they were fighting. So
I found a new character sheet. It's for 5e, but it's designed to like the second edition character sheets. And one of the things it has on there that I absolutely fucking love is it actually has ammunition. So you can, with a whole bunch of bubbles that can easily be filled in. So it's very, very easy to track ammunition.
yeah,
With
I mean, when it comes to carrying capacity and ammunition and all of that, It
5e doesn't do if you have it on your character sheet in front of you, because these character sheets, as I said, they're designed like the old ones. They actually have a very good equipment layout on the sheet, and I'll have to post it on here for us. But you can track your weight very easily. You actually know where everything is located because it gives you three slots basically for a like for my character, I've got a backpack slot, I've got a pouch, like belt pouch or whatever, and then I have another one that I use for a scroll case. So I know everything that's stuck in the scroll case. I know everything that's in the pouch. I know what's in the backpack,
so
and I know the weight of all of it.
so the way the way 5e works is like you have a backpack and it can carry so much physical things in it. And you can, at least in D&D Beyond, they set it up so you can toggle that backpack weight on your character and off your character. So whenever you kind of walk into a situation where you know combat is like around the corner, it is perfectly feasible for you to say before the combat happened, you doff your backpack and you hide it here with everyone else's backpacks
Yeah,
before you engage in combat. Or if you want to get even more technical, at the beginning of the surprise encounter, you use your move action to doff the backpack, because that's one of the appropriate move actions, and you set it on the ground and then you begin your turn.
sure.
So it's kind of irrelevant to have to track all that stuff. But like I
It,
don't know.
it,
I don't know
except,
if I have the discipline as a DM or a player to keep track of everything in my inventory to the nth degree.
it's not hard.
It,
Did you loot that monster and loot its shirt of chainmail, short sword, and dagger? Yes. Okay. Write it down on your sheet. Write the weight next to it. Bam, you're done.
but it goes
Ver
in your backpack, so the weight doesn't apply
Yeah. No, 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 no,
for
no, 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 no.
movement and encumbrance.
I mean, if it's in that backpack and if you're still using that backpack, it absolutely does. If you get into a combat that you are not ready for, then you either have to burn your move action or
No, it's part of your move action. You still get your move. It's that free action in your move action.
I'd have to look that up.
So it's dropping an item. You can drop an item. Uh, so it's so weird. Like on one hand, like that D&D game where you track everything and all your rations, and we're
Yeah,
you're
it has
tracking.
a spot specifically for rations too.
Right. So like that is cool. Like that exists. That is awesome. I wish I had the time to play that game.
I mean I think that game is very simple to play or run, but
When we play Solasta,
because the character sheets do not have it on there because that is not on the character sheets for 5e because that isn't on
it's
there.
on page
Pe-
2.
there's not a check box for ammunition. The janky ass, huge just section of here's your equipment, write it down. No, there's no specific spot for weight written next to it. Not there's no lines separating everything. It's just a janky ass box that they expect you to fill out, and that doesn't lead players to actually utilize it. If you have it laid out in perfect form in front of you with places to fill out, people will use it.
Maybe, but it's the world of video games too. So it's like it's on one hand, I don't want to spend my time at the table letting people write. I mean, like if you loot something, you have to write it in, okay?
Yeah,
And for the most part, that always happens. Um, Tracking ammo and stuff like that, like when I played the Ranger for my campaign a while ago, I had to actually have bullets. Okay.
yeah.
So I made sure in my backpack and my equipment that I had sufficient ammo. Okay, I think I had like 100 rounds on me. Okay, and I averaged like 5 shots a combat. You
Hmm.
know, so I had enough on me. And then during long rests, I had the equipment to build and the raw materials on me to build more bullets. Okay, and that was before I got a magic gun that didn't need bullets anymore.
Yeah, of course, because
Right.
that's what everybody does.
So for me as a DM, as long as you have all of that, that's you're Gucci in my book. Like I don't need any more. You know,
I mean,
I
you could
I don't need you to track it to that extent. We don't need to delay it that much. But at the same time, too, it's like I understand if somebody wants to do that, then by all means feel free to. But I'm not going to have the discipline to check your sheet and track and make sure that you're
no, no.
tracked on that at all
I
times.
would never expect a DM to start checking everybody's sheet to make sure that, oh, they're not 1 pound overweight. Like that's too much.
Right.
Uh,
But like when you get to the situation where like, oh, I want to loot the dragon horde, his pile of gold. It's like, well,
how you carrying all that shit
how are you
to
carrying all that? And at least then it pops up. It's like, okay, I'm gonna carry up to a coin less than my encumbrance. You know? And we'll do the math to figure that out. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's fun.
yeah.
But you're not gonna have
Yeah,
everything.
because
And then
because gold's heavy.
yeah. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna be a nitpicker about everything that I'm carrying on me at all times, I'm just gonna find a bag of holding and
Yeah.
make this irrelevant.
Or or use the DM could just make it where there are no bags of holding.
Yeah, but I'm not as a DM gonna be a dick and say you can't find this massive iconic piece of gear in my D&D game.
I think DMs should occasionally do stuff like that.
No, there's plenty of bags of holding out there.
If you are running a Forgotten Realms campaign or one of these official long games that have been established, fine. Just give them the bag of holding, play it as a high magic game because that's what every damn one of them are. But if you are running your own homebrew stuff,
Yeah, that's very different.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying do that in Forgotten Realms because everybody has a fucking bag of holding in that game.
Yeah, everyone has bag. They had it in the movie.
Everyone's got one. And,
No one questioned it.
yep. Uh, but yeah, I like the sheet. I linked it in our Discord for anybody who's interested in it. I just like the layout of it. Um,
It feels very third edition to me.
it's more akin to the second edition stuff, but yeah, third is they had a lot of sheets like that too.
I do like that it has sanity, you know.
Yeah, they actually added that on there as a possibility too.
But see, the thing is, this is 6 sheets. You
I mean,
know,
two of them are magic sheets. If you're not a spellcaster, you don't need it. So.
yeah, but for your average player, it's just way too much. I like it. I'm not saying I don't like it. I like it a lot, but it's just
Would I ever use this if I'm running Adventures League? No. No, of course not. Would I use this on any table that I'm running that's not Adventures League where I have players who are invested in my campaign? Yeah, I would absolutely want them to use this sheet because it's not really what I would call too much. It's very well laid out. Everything is very well defined as to what it is.
I mean, there are some spacing issues, but that's just the technical writer in me.
Yeah, well, that's I get it. Like the ammunition dots being crossing over the line there on the second sheet, things like that. But, but yeah, it's an awesome sheet. Um, so once again, I was hanging out with my buddy Mike, and I've been thinking very heavily lately about all of the different types of dice rolling for role playing games. So bear with me here while I kind of try to describe what I'm talking about here. All right, so Dungeons and Dragons is the classic. It's what everyone knows. It's you set a target number, your DC, and you try to roll above that. Uh,
Equal to or above it.
yeah,
Yeah.
equal to or above. That's what you're shooting for in Dungeons and Dragons. There are other variations of it where you have your target number and you are trying to roll below that number. Uh, then there's the ones that use a dice pool like Vampire the Masquerade or Shadowrun, where effectively you've got your target number you're still trying to hit, but you're rolling a bunch of dice, and for everyone that hits that number or higher than that number, it's counted as a success, and you're really looking for a specific number of successes. Um,
Yeah.
then there's also percentile, which it's still target number, roll above it or below it, but it's 2d10 as opposed to the d20 systems that we're all familiar with. I know that what's is it Daggerheart? That's the that's the name of the Critical Role one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a 2d12 system where I have to look it up again, but I know the specifics on it are you're trying to roll higher on one die than the other die. Otherwise, you get negative modifiers. Then there's card drawing role playing systems where you don't use dice at all. You just use cards, like a deck of cards to flip through. Then there's Dice Chain, where Dungeon Crawl Classics uses it. I know the Goonies board game uses it, where you're rolling a d20 or whatever it is, still trying to hit that number, but modifiers they increase the size of the die. So you might start rolling a d12, but then you roll a d16. The plus two modifier, you'd roll a d20. You just go up dice. Are there any other ones that you can think of? Oh yeah, and Jenga. Jenga is also a role playing game mechanic that you can use.
Like,
Are there any other ones that you can think of that I didn't kind of cover there?
I mean, that's the basics of it. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of times it's just roll something and see what happens.
Yeah, and I know there's some where you just like roll 2d6, add those together, add a modifier, try to beat the target number, etc. Uh, so when I was hanging out with my friend Mike, we actually thought of a system that could work for a role playing game that I've never come across, and I don't know if anyone has ever done it before. And it's basically Yahtzee. It's poker. Uh, you know how to play Yahtzee?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think most people have played Yahtzee in their life, which plays like poker. You roll five dice. If you get a pair, you get some sort of a success. If you get two pair, you get a better success. If you get three of a kind, an even better success. Four of a kind is better. Full house would be better. A straight, and then five of a kind being the hardest thing to roll. So you could feasibly just do that and roll it five dice straight up, and every attack or every spell would have different levels of success. If you get no pair, you just failed outright, or maybe even one pair or two pair could be a failure depending on what you're doing. But to five of a kind, it's a masterful stroke. You beheaded the monster, and
Yeah.
then you could add in the ability to do rerolls, just like in Yahtzee. Say you have a plus three modifier to your strength. So anytime you attack, you could reroll up to three dice. So
I mean,
if you don't like that two pair that you got, you can change those up and go for broke.
I won't say that like I've seen that in writing, but I've seen plenty of video games with that same style. Dicey Dungeons comes immediately to mind.
Okay, I've never heard of this, so I'm not surprised if other people have used it, but I've definitely never seen it as a tabletop role playing game, and I've never heard about it.
Yeah, it's not a tabletop. It's more of a Final Fantasy style turn-based uh, action adventure RPG, where for Dicey Dungeons it was more like Yahtzee than it was poker, where you have your dice pool and your character. So, like, say you're a fighter.
Yeah.
Fighters have an ability that they can re-roll low numbers to high numbers. So then you would have all your fighter cards and stuff like that. So you'd have to roll the dice and then move the dice into the cards to do attacks and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
okay. That's kind of cool.
yeah, it's actually quite a fun game. It's very cheap. It's on Steam. I think it's called Dicey Dungeons or Dungeon Dice.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
double
about to
check.
look. I was
Um,
trying to at least.
but there's plenty of yeah, Dicey Dungeons. It's $4.
Oh wow.
Uh, and they have different classes and stuff like that. It's real fun to play. I've seen that kind of system before where you're taking the random number generation and you're moving it to a different thing. whether it be poker hands or Yahtzee style or just random dice.
Yeah.
It's all it's all the same concept, as it were. Um, Dicey Dungeons is unique, and so the dice actually power certain abilities. So let's say you have, like, say, like a slashing strike. It may be only even dice can go in this, and that's the damage you do. So like it's 2, 4, 6 damage.
Okay.
Um, or you could, if you do if this one card here means a 1, 2, 3, and 4, you do a big powerhouse attack. Um, so
Yeah, that actually would be cool as a tabletop game
yeah,
because you could say this is your class. You wouldn't even necessarily gain levels or anything, but this is your class, and here's your abilities. And you got 5 dice. When you roll them, if you want to heal, well, you got to roll 3 of a kind. But
yeah,
if you want to do this massive spinning attack, you have to get 5 of a kind.
yeah. My favorite class in Dicey Dungeons is the robot, where his dice don't go into cards. His dice go into a power meter. So let's say you roll like 3 6s. So
Hmm.
you could take those sixes and fill up his power meter, which goes up to like 20, and you have 18 power. And then you could spend as much power as you wanted to fuel abilities.
Okay.
So they have a bunch of different classes. And they all kind of operate a little differently. The rogue likes low numbers and consistently low numbers. There's a way to mess with the dice pool and make things work. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it's $4 right now.
Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna buy it as soon as we get off of here.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I've been playing. Got what? Can't even remember the name of the game. Fucking Tactics Ogre Reborn lately, but Dicey Dungeon could be a fun one to kill some time with too.
oh yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. Um, I uh, I watched a guy play through the entire thing, and it was definitely worth it. And I remember I picked it up a while ago.
Okay, yeah, so it's normally $15. It's on promotion, 75% off until April 1st. So if you're gonna
75% off.
yeah, so if you're gonna get it, it'd be a good time to get it. You got a few days.
But yeah, that's definitely again, it's an RPG style game. Like yeah, you can easily translate that to your table. There was a game very similar to that. Um, I have to find it. It wasn't Mouse Guard, but it was another like small critter creature RPG system
Hmm.
where it was all about inventory management as your
Oh,
stuff.
I remember you talking about this game a lot. It wasn't Backpack Hero, was it?
That's a video game. This is an actual board game.
Okay. Never mind
Um,
then.
where you have your heroes and whatnot, and you have certain carrying capacity for all of them, and you have different attacks. Like you could be a fighter, so you want to equip him with everything, and you may have like a rogue. You just want to throw everything. So you got to
Hmm.
equip them differently, and that was the system to kind of like how things work there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, can't remember the name. I know Mouse Guard's a game, but it's not. It wasn't that one though.
Okay. Well, if you figure it out, we can post it up or talk about it next week.
Yeah.
um, real quick, I think we're about done here, but I was talking about the rolling over and rolling under on the D20 a la D&D and or alternity. I like the idea of rolling under so much better than the rolling over because rolling over like D&D, you're choosing an arbitrary DC for something. Armor class is sort of the exception to that. But say I'm attacking, or say I'm trying to make a skill check. It's very specifically with skill checks. The DM has to say, okay, your DC is 10 or it's 13. Like they literally just have to make up a number. Whereas if you are rolling under it, it's going to be whatever your skill is on your sheet. So
Yeah.
if I have a driving skill of 13, then I know I just need to roll a 13 or under. I don't have to ask for a DC.
Right.
So I've always preferred the rolling under method as opposed to the rolling over. But as D&D is the most popular game in the fucking world, that's the system that's gonna keep going.
It's what you must do.
Yep. Hey, it's not a bad system. It works fine. It's just, forces DMs to arbitrarily come up with a number.
3.
Yep. Yeah, the DC is 3. Can you be Oh, look at that nat 1. It sucks to be you.
Well, that's the problem with the DC system for skill checks in D&D, and that's why 5e just kind of sucks about it. Is because 5 is easy, 10 is average, 15 is difficult, and then 20 is difficult, 25 is near impossible. By the time you're level 5, you're rolling into the 20s all the time. So it kind of just trivializes those types of encounters.
Uh,
And I don't like that.
that shouldn't happen all that often, though. So your 5th level, that's a proficiency of 3, a plus 3, and say you've got the best stat you can get pretty much at that point, at 18. If you're damn lucky, a 20. So if you have a 20 and a plus 3 proficiency, you're looking at a plus 8 on that roll. So you're
Uh-huh.
still numerically, you are still not likely to roll that high. You'd still have to roll a 12 or better to hit a 20.
Yeah, but when you think about it from your passive
Well,
perception and
yeah,
passive anything.
passive perception's stupid, and I fucking hate it.
So passive anything. So
Yeah.
you're rolling an 8, okay? That means that at very least your roll is a 9, okay? And that's before expertise and stuff like that filters in. Um, and so that kind of makes anything that's 10 irrelevant, okay?
Hmm.
So then in order for you to beat a 15 or harder, okay, you need to roll a 7,
Yeah,
okay?
which is pretty damn easy.
Which is pretty dang easy. So at least a 7. So you're looking at 80% of the time you're gonna make a 15.
Yep.
And then even when you look at 20, you're looking at what is it? 40% of the time you're making a 20. And that's at level 5 without
Yeah.
any special things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then you start looking at the feats, we're like, "Oh, I'm going to take observant." Well,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
plus
Yeah.
5. All right, so now you can see everything that exists at all times everywhere.
Yep.
You know, it's just annoying.
Yeah. The passive skills are terrible for D&D, and I don't like them.
It's not the passive that's the problem. It's just that the 5, 10, 15, 20 scale is too low.
Yeah. Yes and no. It is too low if it's something that you are proficient at and good at, but it is too high if you're not.
I mean, I say that, and then like I said, we had our necromantic guy just flub every single
Oh yeah,
roll.
that's
You know,
true.
I say it, but I just kind of feel like there's just
Yep.
I
So
try to move a lot of things now towards like investigation, over perception. I'm kind of looking up some of the characters from my Waterdeep campaign, and they're level
I kind of
7 now.
I really kind of like the Frosthaven. I know it's a board game, but I like the Frosthaven mode of sort of doing things. If you have agile, then you just automatically are successful at something that would require it.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm looking at one of my characters that it's in my Waterdeep campaign. Okay, he's level 8, so he's got a +3. Okay,
mhm.
so he has a +4 in wisdom and a +3 in con, +2 in intelligence, +2 in charisma, um, and a +2 in dexterity, +0 in strength. So athletics is his weakness. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
as long as he's not climbing shit or swimming, he's
so
probably
his
fine.
passive perception is a 17, investigation's a 15, wisdom insight is a 17. So like when he's looking for things, he always finds them
Yep.
because you know, I mean, he's 5 points away from finding every hidden door in the Tomb of Annihilation. You know, and he still has 3 levels to go before he gets there.
Yeah, so if
Um,
he's actively looking, pretty much just he has to roll terrible for him to miss.
yeah, but he also built his character out that way, so I'm not trying to take it away from him, at
Sure,
all.
yeah, yeah. You don't want to penalize players for
Right.
building it.
So I always make him do perception checks, and he rolls, and he always says, "Well, my passive
No, no, I told
is
you
a
to roll.
17."
Told you to roll.
And my roll was a 3. Plus is 7, so 10.
Hmm.
So I always find that funny, that he always mentions what the passive is before he tells me what the active is. And usually I give it to him because for me, when I ask for perception check, that means, hey, there is something there to find or see or something, and you have to find it. And then he always finds it.
Yeah. You gotta get tricky and just start asking for it randomly.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Oh, I do. I do. Um,
Like
to
when
keep them
there's
on their
no when there
toes.
when yeah, when there's nothing going on. You're just walking down a hall. All right, make a perception check.
What's your
I
guys'
got a
passive perceptions again?
Yeah,
Oh, fuck.
yeah, exactly. I got a 28 on my perception check. Okay, that's cool. Yep. So you continue walking down the hall. Wait a minute. Did I find anything? No, no, nope. You didn't find anything. At that point, they're thinking the DC's like 30 or some shit.
Yeah, which happens.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I got to talk about right now. We never did talk about the fucking brain Tarask. I meant to, but we'll do it
Brain
next week.
Tarask.
Yeah.
Yep, Brain
We're
Tarask next week.
Next week. Yeah, this is 2 weeks I've put it off, but well, that's fine. That means it's one less topic that I have to worry about for next week.
All right.
All right, I'm out. Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig. I love you.